So, good afternoon and welcome to another Wellness Wow Day where we talk about changing your life because of hitting that brick wall moment, and you can change your life for the better, creating the success and the dreams that you love, all by simply putting your well-being first. So today it is just me, and we are going to be talking about cultivating a mindfulness and meditative practice, because if you have caught any of the last interviews that I've done, or again follow things I've been sharing on my YouTube, then you will notice that the mindset, mindfulness, and the presence of our minds is key. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether we're looking to lose weight, we can overcome an injury, or there's something much, much greater. Our mind and our mental well-being is central and pivotal to it. So if you are going to join in and tune in, please send me questions and comments. Would love to hear from you. And of course, if I can help you create your Wellness Wow Day, then that is certainly the aim. But of course, let's kick this off. So, mindfulness and meditation. What is mindfulness? Well, in the simplest form, mindfulness is the art of being present. So, it's being completely involved in that moment. Okay. Now, we can all talk about mindfulness, and there's mindfulness practices that we can do. But very often we get very distracted. And one of the root causes is our phones. Yep, because we're so connected, it can be very hard to sometimes disconnect. Now, when we look at being mindful, there are things that we can do where we put that presence into practice. And as we build our mindfulness practice, it becomes much easier for us to use it anytime, any place, all of our day. Okay? So, in comparison to meditation, what is meditation in comparison? Why are the two different? Meditation is the art of sort of calming the mind, so finding a sense of calm and quiet. Okay, so mindfulness is being completely present. So you could do a mindfulness meditation so that you can put the two together, or you can do a meditative practice. So a meditative practice could be guided meditation, it could be like a body scan, it could be going for a walk, and again, these practices can be mindfulness as well. All right, now what's the difference in a practice? Okay, because really both of them are interlinked. There's a huge crossover, as you can probably see from the definitions. Okay, now when we start doing a mindfulness practice, let's start bringing our five senses in. Okay, so if I say to you, you're going to bring all five senses into that present moment. So say, for example, this is you and me having a conversation. Okay, so we're having a conversation right now. We're talking. I'm not playing on my phone. I'm not listening in my music to hear anything else. I'm listening completely to you. I'm looking at you. I'm aware of this environment. So right now I'm aware of the camera, the screen. I'm quite present in this moment. Okay. I'm aware of what I can feel, how it feels to have this conversation, to have somebody listening. Right. So we're tuning in. And of course, on top of that, we've got two other senses, our smell and our taste. So are we sitting having a coffee while we're having a conversation? Are we eating? Maybe we're having some nachos or something together. Okay, so tuning in to all of these scents, smells, what you can see, what you can feel. So when we look at sights as well, think about colors, shapes, everything. So basically you're really creating this memory in this moment. Okay, so that moment, right now, our conversation, nothing else matters. No distractions, just us. It's great, isn't it? Right, so when we're doing a meditation, let's get my words confused. So when we're going meditation, we want to be switching off. Okay, so we want to be completely present. We want to be completely present without being rude in ourselves. We want to bring our awareness in and let everything else go. Okay, so you can see how mindfulness is the art of being present. It's a much bigger sort of range. We're looking at our environment, how we feel in the moment, but what our environment is. Well, in meditation, we want to sit, we want to lie, we want to walk, but we want to be completely pulled in. Okay, I'm trying to make this as simple as possible, because when I first started meditating, I found that I was like, it's some hippie shit. Oh, I can't do this oming and chanting, and it's all this. I've got to sit for 2 hours, and I basically made it out to be this huge task. And really, both of them can be very, very simple. And I'm trying to break it as simple as possible so you can see how easy it is to cultivate and bring into your life, okay? Because when we look at it as sitting around chanting for 2 hours, that feels weird and uncomfortable. That might be something you physically just can't even do, okay? Sitting for 5 minutes can be really, really hard on its own. So sitting for 2 hours, whoa, okay, that's probably like torture to you, okay? So if that's how you're feeling, don't worry. We're going to break down some practice that you can do nice easily, okay? Because like I said, I've started out, I found the fact I use body and breath, okay? So that's one way, and I will come into what that means. But what's the value? Let's kick off with go into what's the value of doing this, because there's no point me telling you the practice unless you're kind of going to know why and what you're doing it for, okay? Now, it's not selfish to practice self-care, okay? Because when you fill your own cup, you've got more to give. It's these sorts of analogies, the oxygen mask. You put your mask on first so you can help others, okay? So when we do mindfulness and meditation practices, we're putting ourselves first, okay? So we're filling our energies, our cup. We're making ourselves stronger so we can help others more. We can give more in our work. We can be more present with others, okay? So basically, it helps us be the best us possible, right? Now, you could use it for like de-stressing, relief of anxiety. So there's the sort of things because our brains got overloaded and we kind of want to get rid of all this. Or it could be for easing and changing of mood. So if you're feeling down and depressed, then of course you can actually boost your mood with meditation and also that mindfulness of being with someone. So like we're having a coffee, doesn't it feel much better if I'm sitting here and I'm just looking at you and this is us compared to if I was doing this and I'm not really engaged because, you're not my full attention. Okay, that doesn't, you kind of probably thinking, put your phone down right now. I want to talk to you, right? I'm here. I'm with you, right? This is our conversation, right? So we want to fill our own energies. We want to fill our own strength, right? We want to boost our own moods because when we're doing all this, it has a ripple effect. Okay, so we know, like, for example, if you ever looked at water, so you get water and you put a ding and you see the ripples, how it flows out, that's energy, okay? That's what you're doing. So the minute you sort of go ding in the water, so the minute you fill your own cup, that's the strength. So the more ding that you give, the stronger your energy, the bigger the ripple. It's kind of catching, isn't it? So it's like if someone smiles at you, you kind of catch it. Right? It's hard to stay angry. Imagine you're shouting at me right now and I'm smiling at you. It's going to be really hard to stay angry with me. As much as you want to, it's really, really hard. Okay? Now, if you can't feel that, try and just take a moment, maybe pause the video if you need to, and think back to a time when you did feel that way or you came across it. Okay? Because these are things that we do come across more often than we give credit to. But often we get irritated by them or we feel something, or we just walk past them, okay? And the idea is these things we can navigate through and we can ride over because they stop bothering us, okay? So we stop getting bothered by when we get angry at things and all that, okay? So it calms stress, like I said, mental well-being, looks after all that, boosts our mood, makes us feel better, but also it helps us communicate. So clearer thinking, creative thoughts, creative words. We can actually actively listen. So we actually hear what people are saying and we can actually respond to them. Have you ever had it when someone says something to you and you're going, I can't quite think of the words. And then later on you think of it. Yeah. It's kind of like we cut that out. So we make our brains much more active. We can respond in the moment much, much better. The other thing is it's also our intuition and our sort of, I said creative thinking, but like that performance of our brain. Okay, so we can see opportunities. We can also work quicker. We get that sluggish feeling. Okay, so our brain and our body's optimal health basically comes out to shine. Okay, so it's such a great thing because you feel energized and you feel like you can do anything. You're thinking, you're responding. Someone asks you a question, you've got the answer. You can problem solve without even battering an eyelid. Now, who doesn't want that? Yeah? If you want to problem solve without battering an eyelid, then of course this needs to be in your day because problems aren't problems. They're basically just things you have to overcome. Okay, nothing's going to stop you, because it's just how you get to the outcome. That's the thing. All right. So we've got the physical benefits, we've got the mental benefits, we've got the performance benefits in our lives, in our sleep. So our sleep actually improves. I know, right? So we're taking time to calm down and slow down in our day. We actually sleep better at night. So we have more energy, because when you sleep well, you have more energy. Oh my God, it's like this never-ending cycle. Okay, so the two go hand in hand. And if you can't guess, I do meditate first thing every single morning. Even if it's just 5 minutes, I wake up and I sit in calm, and I virtually do every single night. I say virtually every single night. I know generally it's about 6 days out of 7 in the evening, and sometimes I do in the day as well. So I tend to do shorter bursts, but we'll come into the practices very, very quickly. Okay. So we have this energy boost, I said, all these physical and mental benefits and performance benefits. Okay. So that wellness focus is very simple, because even a meditative practice for 5 minutes can change your day and your well-being. Okay, so let that sink in. Just 5 minutes. It doesn't need to be 2 hours. It doesn't need to be 30 minutes. It can literally be 5. Okay, but if you're 5 minutes and you're thinking about your to-do list and everything else, you're not fully invested. So that 5 minutes won't have a great impact. It will still add value, but it won't have a great impact. If you've got 5 minutes and you're completely immersed, that's when you've got the value, right? So without much to do, because I know this is the stuff that you really, really want, how to put this into practice, because it's one thing me trying to put it into a simple terms so that you can really understand it. How are you actually going to do it? Because ideally we want those benefits. We want to feel better. We want to feel younger. We want to feel more energy. We want to perform better. Okay. If you don't, then I'm very surprised. All right. But I'm sure at least one of those you connect with. But the practices are similar, but there's slight variations. Okay, so we'll talk about the mindfulness first. Okay, now mindfulness practice, like I said, is the art of being present. It can also be savoring. Okay, so when you think of savoring, okay, so remember we savor something we eat. Maybe someone's bought some really nice chocolates, okay, or you've had a cake bought for you or something, and you want to savor that. And so you're eating slowly. You know, imagine you probably mouth is starting to what my mouth is going right now, but you start to think about it. And so if you think about right now, the time someone's giving you something really tasty to eat. So like I said, birthday chocolates, maybe cake, maybe it's just a really nice Sunday dinner, and you eat that. And imagine you're biting into that right now. Okay. It's like, if you're really thinking about it, your mouth is going to start watering. All right. Because the emotions that you connected the first time, you're bringing back. Okay. And this is what consolidates the memory. But this is savoring, okay? The stronger you savor and you're completely present, then the stronger that connection will be. Okay, so that's simple. Now, savoring is like that, the savoring of a taste. You might smell, but taste, but you might not remember anything else, okay? You may remember being in a cafe, you may remember sitting at home on the sofa. It doesn't quite matter where, but you might not remember everything. When you're mindful, you remember everything. I was sitting with Bob and we were sat on the sofa. We were watching, I'll say the new Avatar, because that's what I watched on Saturday. So we were watching this film and we were watching together, and he gave me these chocolates. He brought them as a treat and we sat there eating them. Okay, so you remember the experience, the memory and everything. But also you want to live it again. You want it all very similar. You go, oh, I had a really great time. Maybe we had such a great time there. We can have a great time doing this as well. Okay, so you kind of get these really good feel-good feelings. So looking at a savoring practice. Okay, so if you're looking to build a mindfulness and you're really struggling, a savoring practice is a perfect place to start. So having your coffee in the morning, maybe your cereal, sit down and be present for it. Okay, or it could be lunch, any other meal, but just pick something that you're going to eat. Okay, be completely present. Okay, so think about how it looks. Think about, does it smell? Is there a specific smell? And then start noticing the tastes, the textures, and things like this. become, first off, just be aware of how that food or something is. And then what you can do is just do this once a day. Okay, you don't need to do it every meal. You don't need to like tire yourself out, but take your time then to put it into your mouth. Feel it in your mouth. So if you're eating a bowl of cereal, you know it's like you put the first bowl and you're like, I can feel like the milk, how that's sort of soft and runny, but I can feel the crispness of the flakes. And then you start to bite. Okay, you get the idea? So then you go through it. Once you start doing, maybe just picking a meal a day, doing this once a day, then of course become more and more present. So when you're in that, first off, just try and notice what you're eating or the coffee. Then the next day, maybe try and notice a bit more. Okay, a bit more. So literally can take 5, 10, 15 minutes. Okay. You may find, or what you will find is if you're doing it with meal, you'll probably eat slower. Okay, so don't do it when you're in a hurry, all right? Because generally speaking, when you're first starting out, you're going to be much slower. Once you get a bit quicker, much more practice, it'll become much more instant, okay? You'll automatically be programmed into it. You'll build these programs into your body and your mind, okay? But that might not be suitable for you. You might not think, I want to be mindfulness practice. It could be our conversation. Okay, I use that as an example, but it could be a conversation or even family dinner. Okay, you might not be aware of everything and taste and checks of food, but you could go, I'm going to put the phones down, no phones, no TV, no radio. We're going to be completely present. We're going to have a conversation. Okay, I tell you, for years, I used to always have my phone at the table. I was a 20-year-old. What did I know? I bet it irritated my parents no end. And now, of course, I'm there. And I'm engaging. I'm trying to get them to chat and all this. And it's fun. I think it's fun. But even it's a case of that's our time together. So even if we go off as soon as we leave the table, we do other things, we have whatever time just to be people. There's no distractions, no outside world, just our meal and our conversation. Okay, it doesn't mean say you can't talk about the food. You know, maybe you bought something at the store and you're trying it. Oh, this is really nice, and give you feedback. And it doesn't mean you can't talk about that, but being completely present, being aware of that conversation, looking at people when you're talking. So you're not just sat there just eating. You're actually looking and okay, and acknowledge them. Okay, so you can be completely present. So you can be mindful over a meal with people, or again, any other activity that you're doing together. Now, I did say about a walk. So a walk could be mindfulness or meditative. Generally speaking, I'll take it more as a mindfulness practice, okay? Because if it's meditative, you kind of lose some of the beauty of what's going on around you. And the reason I say that is as you're going for a walk, take note of the trees, the colors, the lights, the smells, and you'll start picking up on your external world. But you'll notice the walk and you'll start to feel these things and all this sort of thing. But you won't be aware of the fact, oh, my feet are getting a bit warm or something like that. You will not notice those things. Where if you're a bit more meditative, you'll be a bit more inward. But the meditative, from being still, it's quite hard to do on a walk. Okay, so if you're just starting out, I would take the walk or something to be more mindfulness practice than a meditative. However, both of them will calm the mind and look after your mental well-being. All right. Now, the other one that we can do, which is a meditative practice, so it leads us nicely into the meditative things that you can do, and that is a body scan. Okay, so when we're stressed in our day, so this is a beautiful one. If you're a busy professional and you're running around all the time, this is a beautiful one that you can bring in. Now, running around, we're stressed, maybe we're in meetings, we rush to the loo, we're like, oh my God, what can I do? Okay, a body scan is letting go of all that crap and bringing awareness into self. So being present in this moment, so that mindfulness. But like I said, it is a meditative practice because you can do this with eyes open, being completely like, I'm aware of my surroundings, or you can do it eyes closed, completely switched in. Okay. So if we're doing it as mindfulness, we can just stand even in a toilet. So we've run to the toilet for a couple of minutes for that break, just to like, oh my God, de-stress. Just scanning, just going, okay, I can see top of my head, my face, just scanning down your body, each in turn. Acknowledge each body part. All right. I like to do this with my eyes closed. And the reason for that is in my mind's eye, I can see in the crown of my head. And I imagine I'm looking into a mirror of myself. And I don't get too distracted by what's going on around me. So I do a bit more of a meditative mindfulness practice, okay? I do close my eyes, scan the top of my head, my face. I can see my eyes, I can see my cheeks. Oh yeah, acknowledge my earring, coming all the way down to the soles of the feet. When you get to the soles of the feet and then coming up, right? Because you can do this within 2 minutes. I actually have short practices on my channel, but you can scan all the way down and all the way up and just breathe as you go, okay? And that will help you sort of slow down. Now, let's talk about the meditative practices, because meditation is, like I said, could be chanting, it could be sitting quietly, listen to music, it could be anything. If you're starting out meditating, then I would say a short guided is the best. I prefer, when I was starting, the body scan. That was my way to start. All right. That's why I like to throw that one in there. Now, let me just make sure I actually covered everything before I move on. Okay, we'll go into the challenges afterwards, but yeah, those are the ones I want to give you. Now, like I said, the body scan is a nice meditation because you can sit quietly or lie if you prefer, or you can stand with your eyes closed, even lean against a wall. Okay, so you can bring yourself into space. And then you're sort of giving yourself a focus, and you give yourself a focus of something that you're aware of. Okay, we all look at ourselves in the mirror. We all have seen our reflection. So we all are aware of ourselves. Okay. Now, when it comes down to doing a lot of guided, sometimes you might hear something that you're not really a fan of. And that's okay. Okay, that might not be the practice for you. Okay. So I say if you're starting out, a guided practice is best. I would always go for something shorter when you're first trying, because it's better to do a short practice and think, actually, I could have done a bit more. That feels good. Because you can always do a short practice later. Rather than sitting down, going through and having your chimp brain on your shoulder going, yeah, but you can move now. Oh, but you shouldn't be doing this. And, okay, because it can kick in. Okay, so your chimp brain's your emotions. And if you're starting to embrace a level of stillness, that feels uncomfortable. Okay, so don't be afraid of feeling uncomfortable, because stillness can be. That's why I say guided practice can really help, because it gives you something to sort of shift your focus, even if it's just the mental focus onto the words, or some of them give visualizations, you see, so it can help you. And that sort of leads me into the next one, the visualization one, because there are some that are guided for you, or you can do it for yourself. Okay, so just put some tunes on, close your eyes, and start taking yourself into your happy space and start visualizing. And again, like we do with the mindfulness practice, if we're visualizing, we're bringing all of our senses. So it's a lot more mindful, okay? Because remember, visualization, some people will see. Okay, so if you're a person who sees, yay, go for you. Okay, I'm someone who feels. Okay, I'm an emotive person. Okay, so I will connect, and then once I start connecting with emotions and these descriptions, I'll be like, I'm sitting on a beach, I can see the sunset, I can see the sand, and I'm starting slowly to describe. So I go wide, and then I come into more and more detail. Then all of a sudden, an image will pop up, because I've created so much. Okay, now it took a while for me to create an image, so don't be afraid if you're not. Okay, it's not about being perfect, being right, it's about the practice. Okay, so you might, in your mind's eye, need to describe it for yourself, and as you go through, if you do it consistently, you will build this up. Remember, meditative practice adds greater value if you do it consistently. So doing it once is great, good, but you really want those benefits, it's what you do consistently that counts. All right, so that's a nice little tip. You can do these sorts of things with eyes open if you wish, as long as you don't get distracted too much. So meditative, remember, is about bringing our awareness in, so we don't really want to get distracted too much on the outside. Okay, you can do them a bit more of an active meditation, eyes open and things like this. But again, you still kind of want to not be disturbed. So you don't really, like if you're in the toilets, you don't want to be standing there staring at the wall and then have somebody walk in and you're just still staring there and they're talking at you and doing this and you're just ignoring them. Okay, that doesn't really go very well, because then you look rude. And secondly, I bet you're not really meditating. Okay, so if you're in the toilets, put yourself in the toilet's door. There's a hint. But moving on. Okay, so meditation you can do at night as well. If you're doing it at night, it does get into the subconscious brain. So this is where we've talked about altered brain states and things like this. This is why sleep practices can work, but they can be disruptive, okay? Because hearing the sounds or something going on as you're sleeping, you can experience restless nights. Now, I did try this, and I tried it for about a month solidly and see how I felt. I found that initially there was a really good night or two, and I slept really, really, really well. And then all of a sudden, I started having really vivid dreams. So it was triggering things off in my mind, sort of that were coming thing, and I was having disrupted sleep. After about, it was a different one every night. Before I realized it was a different every night. And it was like I was telling myself all these stories, things that happened in the past and all this, and they suddenly stopped, okay? And I was like, okay. So for me, I obviously needed to deal with whatever memories I had, bring them up and kind of, but when I woke up, I wasn't afraid of them. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't anything. I was like, okay, but that's not where I live anymore. Okay. So if you have something that does come up, own it. Okay. So I'll come into this in another video, but if it does come up that you've kind of had something that happened in the past, maybe some trauma, bad experience, negative memory, and you wake up and you're just like, oh my God, then own it. Okay. Take the time to go, okay, I memorize that. I remembered that. But that's gone. That's the past. You may want to talk yourself through it. So you may find, okay, that happened. Why did that happen? Okay. But you know what? I've detached from that. So give yourself the space to detach. If you hold the emotion to it, you won't be able to. But if we detach the emotion and try to look at things logically, then of course we can change it and let go of it. Okay. So like I said, I'll do another video and I'll do that in another session. But we do need to detach. When we detach our emotions, that's when we can let go of that sort of stress. Okay. These things that crop up. Now, I haven't said about it, but the chanting, the ohms, and all these sorts of things. What is the point of meditating in this way? Okay, well, the sounds. Okay, so it may sound really obvious, but of course the sounds, but it's not just the sounds as you hear them, it's how they feel on the body, the vibrations, the sensations they give your body. Okay, now you'll hear a lot of these where they'll chant mantras, but they'll say one mantra and they'll just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, okay? Because one is the words the same, but it's also those sensations and feelings that are going through, okay? Now, you may not feel comfortable with going hum or shanti or any of these other things, okay? You don't have to do them, right? To do a meditation, you don't have to chant. However, you may find that you enjoy that, okay? Now, if you want an easy way to kick off here, so I'll give you the easy way because I like to give you tips and value, okay? So if you want an easy way to sort of kick off with sounds and vibrations, it's try a hum, okay? So this is completely simple terms. We're just going to breathe in, and as you breathe out, hum. Once you feel done, breathe in, breathe out, hum. Okay, you get the idea. And of course, sit comfortably, eyes closed. If you need to take a couple of breaths in between, but let the sensations flow. Trust me, see how you feel. It feels kind of amazing. I always get really lightheaded. I feel like floating. I feel absolutely amazing. But I do the full humming breath with mudra as well. But if you just want a simple way to start and you want to notice how the sensations make you feel, just try a humming bee breath, okay? So just the hum, literally the basic level of it. And sit quietly, see how it feels. Maybe just try it to 7 rounds. You don't have to go crazy. We generally don't go over 21, okay? So maximum of 21 breaths. But again, just take those breaths and see how it feels, all right? Now, if you want me to go more into the humming bee and we want to do the practice on that another time, let me know in the comments, questions, and of course, send me a message because I will delve into that if you wish, okay? But again, for just feeling on the sensations, how sort of chanting and stuff starts, then of course you can feel that way. The other thing I'll say about chanting is you may feel more comfortable doing it on your own, or you may feel more comfortable doing it with people, okay? It's about finding what feels safe and comfortable for you. Remember, meditation is about comfort. It's about relaxing. If you're not feeling comfortable, then of course you won't relax, okay? So bear that in mind, okay? Now, meditation, so we've got meditation guided, we've got sleep, you can do chanting. Now the other one is just a simple meditation, listening to some gentle music and allowing yourself to switch off. Now, this can be a bit more challenging because generally speaking, what happens? Yeah, okay. Our brains, our thoughts, our to-do list kicks off. We go chat, 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 chat. We're off, okay? So we're sitting there going, right, whatever, okay. So if you are choosing just to sit quietly and listen to music and take your own space and just find some quiet and just let go, just see and acknowledge what comes up, okay? I'll come into that bit, but focus on your breath, okay? Inhale and exhale. Just notice and acknowledge your breath. So whether that's the feelings, how it feels as you inhale, maybe that's the sounds, just switch into your breath, and that will help you sort of let go of the chatter and find that quiet space that you want. Okay, you can tune into music, but again, we don't want to go too external, hence why we say bring it to breath. Now, when I got stuck to my seat. Oops. Okay, so when we listen to music, obviously we can sort of focus through the breath and we find that space of calm. But I said, remember, acknowledge and be aware of what comes up. Okay, so what will happen when you get into a quiet, calm state is you may notice thoughts, feelings, intuition, maybe ideas. Okay, it's not always a bad past experience that crops up. Sometimes this could be an exciting thought, or maybe a solution to a problem that you're trying to solve, or maybe it's something you feel I need to do and I haven't thought of this before. Okay, when we go into that space of calm and quiet, you will find these things crop up. So this is actually why when you get a bit more comfortable with meditation, if you start with a guided meditation, taking it into just some quiet space, sitting with music, okay? The reason I say is you might want to go from that into a blended is simply because when you're in this sort of guided meditation, you might need that to sort of slow down. And I'll tell you what, sometimes I do, okay? So although I've been doing this a while, I teach this, I'm training this, sometimes I need somebody to tell me what to do, all right? There's nothing wrong with that. So you may find someone, but then what you do is you go into this nice state and then you want to be, because now you're in this sort of calm, relaxed state, you can start to just really let go. But of course, if you're listening to someone let go, then you'll just pop up, okay? So actually going into this quiet space with maybe some soft music or maybe just sitting completely quietly, then of course you can allow these thoughts. And then of course, notebook and pen, all right? Write things down. It's always fun. You never know what ideas will come up, okay? So how do we incorporate this into daily life? Because there's one thing saying, okay, I want to do these practices, I want to do all of this, but how am I going to do it? Okay, well, I did say about the savoring, doing it daily. Okay, so picking a meal and doing it every day. But you may think, okay, if I'm going to savor a meal, I'm going to complete this, I'm going to do this, it kind of feels overwhelming, right? Because we don't want to, this is supposed to be calming the mind, not stressing us. Okay, we're not suddenly feeling like a to-do list has got huge. Okay, my advice, take one thing and focus on that. All right, so you may choose to do one thing one day, one thing next, or my best advice would be to do one thing each day. Choose 5 to 15 minutes. So whether it's a meal, whether it's a light meal, so you're savoring the taste and textures, whether it's a meal, you're savoring the moment, maybe it's a coffee with friends, okay? Picking the sort of practice that you're going to do and committing that time to it. So you may look at your diary and go, Monday is a really busy day. So you know what? I can save my coffee in the morning. So check. So make your plan of attack. Savor the coffee in the morning. Tuesday I'm meeting a friend at lunch. I'm going to be completely present in that moment. Mindfulness thing. Oh, Wednesday, I get another busy day, but I can do a 10-minute meditation in the morning. Okay. You can see how these things are coming up. Now, commit the time and break it down. So start off with 5 to 15 minutes. All right. Do little and more often, because then what you'll do is you'll find then you'll want to keep going with it. If not, it'll suddenly become a burden. Right? We don't want burdens. Well-being is about the things we want to keep doing. So little and often means that we'll do more little bits and more often, right? But then you've got that plan and you feel the structure. But you notice with those things, I've said morning coffee, meditation in the morning. Okay, there's 2 reasons for this. The first one is when you wake up, your brain and your circadian cycle, so your natural sleep-wake cycle, you're the most alert in the morning. Okay. Now, I'll get into sort of the nutritional side, things you should do with caffeine and all that separately. But naturally, your body's at the most alertness. But also, if you can meditate or be completely present in a moment first thing in the morning, your brain still has this sort of sleepy cycles. So it's not in this high-level beta state where you're consciously I said the same thing twice. You're not thinking at this top level of like going alertness. Okay, you're a bit more like, I'm kind of chilled. I'm not, you haven't really got into this to-do lists or anything like this. Okay, so you're kind of more switched off. And this means it's going to get into the lower brain states and have a greater impact on you. All right. The second reason is because rather than push it to the end of the day, I'm tired, the first thing you're going to cut is the new thing that's hard to do. Oh, that's too much effort. I can't do it. All right. Get it done. You then go, check, I've done it. I feel no pressure for the rest of my day. The rest of the day is freaking awesome. And you can enjoy it without any challenges. Okay. So in terms of like time management and things like that, you've already committed that time. So you don't have to worry about the pressure of fulfilling that requirement later. Okay. Remember, well-being is a lifestyle as well. It's not just a list of things you do. It's not just like turn up at the office and it's a meeting. This is something that is part of your life and you want to make it so it can stay. So whatever happens, whether you change job, you get promoted, change into become a business owner, or even retire, we want to make sure we're sort of doing the best things for us. Okay. So when we change and build new habits, let's get the ones that are going to stick with us and add value, not just for today, tomorrow, but in 20, 30, 40 years time. Right. And of course, so mornings can add a great value to you. So even just get up a few more minutes. Okay. Like I said, I sit up, meditate before I even leave bed. I know, right? But my first thing I used to do, okay, this is the morning story. Okay. The morning story. What I used to do is get up straight away, make my bed. Okay. So if you make your bed first thing, it is showing that you generally be more productive. Okay, because you get up and you've already achieved something. There's a greater sense of success in your life, right? Now, what I do, alarm goes off, I sit up, phone goes on, I'm still like, oh, what's going on, love? And I'm in my own state. I then go and grab the phone, whack it on, play. And I'll play either some beats or I might do a short guided. So generally speaking, I don't do more than 15 minutes. Normally it's around the 5-10 minute mark. So it's not a long meditation, but I make sure I sit up. I'm a little uncomfortable because I don't want to fall back to sleep. I want to get the value of whatever it is I'm doing. And then I sort of allow myself to focus and breathe and all this. And I find it much easier to relax, but also I boost my energy. I find it actually really seriously or severely boosts my energy for the day. So that sort of alertness and awakeness. Okay, so obviously we want to cultivate this. We've got all these different practices and we obviously can do so many different things. We're going to break it down into our day. Now the closing thought is about I'm going to close on the awareness of acceptance and of course without judgment. I want to say the phrase without judgment. Okay, so if you're making a note of anything, without judgment. Okay, because if you're feeling I'm fat, I'm overweight, I'm not confident, he doesn't want me, she doesn't want me, I'm not going to get the promotion, today's a hard day. Okay, you allow these feelings, okay? But you acknowledge, we just go, okay, but I'm not. I'm special, I'm wonderful, I'm beautiful, whatever thing that feels your way, okay? So it could be, oh, I'm carrying, I get a lot of, on my legs because I get blocked. Oh my God, I can't remember words. So I got a lot of liquid around my knees, okay, because I've got an old knee injury and things like this. So sometimes my knees can be really swollen, which obviously affects my legs as a whole and all this sort of stuff. And sometimes I'm like, oh, my legs are like, oh. But I'm like, no, my legs are beautiful. I've got strong legs. Okay, I replace it. But I acknowledge how I'm feeling. I'm like, it's okay, but I've got beautiful legs. Acknowledge and accept. I don't judge myself for thinking that. I allow myself to feel that way, and then I correct myself with something positive. So we affirm and we replace, okay? So we want to make sure whatever emotions come. So if you are feeling a certain way, you might be just then afterwards just writing them down, okay? Not everything will be fixed with a quick affirmation, like I say with my knees and my legs, and I'm going, all my swollen knees and I'm feeling crappy, that's an easy affirmation to fix, okay? Because that would just help me feel better and I feel more confident, and that's nice and easy. There may be some other things, like you may, I feel really fat and bloated if you're female, time of the month, those sorts of things. You can change it by what you wear. So guys, I know you look good in a good shirt. It's not just as ladies that put on the nice dresses and a bit of makeup. You guys can look good too. Choose your shirt. Choose whatever makes you feel good. All right? You don't have to hide in pajamas all day. You can look amazing and feel amazing. But when things come up in meditation and mindfulness practices, acknowledge, accept, and allow them to let go. Okay? Because when we let thoughts and feelings flow, we let them go. When we try to restrict and hold, we'll hold on to them. Think of this like a balloon, a helium balloon. You're holding the string, okay? When we allow it, we sort of loosen and we let go, and it goes and it flies away. When we restrict it, we're holding tightly. Eventually, this balloon loses helium and it sinks, and we're stuck with it like a weight. Okay, it's not that heavy, but you get the idea. So we've got this floating balloon. When we allow and let it flow, it flies away. When we hold on, it eventually stops. And whether we let it go, we're stuck with it. So think of it that way. So, guys, if you have enjoyed this session, we're talking about cultivating mindfulness and a meditative practice. This has been something that's come up in all the other interviews and conversations, and of course something that we will continue. But if there is anything you would like further on this subject, do drop me a comment, thought, or questions. And of course, if you do need a guided meditation, if you look on my YouTube channel, there are some there to help you. And of course, if you do need anything further, all you have to do, drop me a comment, send me a message, and I am there for you. Otherwise, we're going to have an amazing rest of your day.